What's up guys, Lifting here. This is a video build guide for anyone who wishes to traverse the wasteland as a versatile, non-power armor, crit, melee and explosives focused character. And with a decent weapon, this build can take on the hardest of enemies on the hardest difficulties. For instance, just yesterday I slashed a Deathclaw to death with my Chinese sword and I took out a whole camp of super mutants with my missile launcher. Additionally, this build also allows you to lockpick any lock and hack any terminal. So let me start by showing you how to spend your attribute points. And as you can see, for strength we're putting in 9 points. This amount of strength will allow you to deal tons of damage with your melee weapons. It will allow you to carry lots of weight and unlock the most important perks for the build. Additionally, with the strength bobblehead, you'll be able to reach 10 strength eventually when you find it. For perception, we're only going to spend 3 points when creating the character. And 3 points in perception may seem a bit weird as it doesn't really unlock any specific melee or utility perks for the build. However, with the special book found in your own house and the perception bobblehead in the Museum of Freedom, you'll be able to take your perception up to 5 points, which unlocks the necessary perks for this build. And both of these items are available early on in the game. Next, we're going to put 3 points in endurance. And I know what some of you guys are thinking right now. 3 in endurance for a melee build, what? Well, the thing is, endurance points by itself doesn't really add that much to your survivability. As a matter of fact, it only adds 5 HP per point. However, the perks it unlocks with just 3 points allows you to become significantly more tanky, which I'll show you in just a minute. So don't worry, you'll become very tanky even with just 3 points in endurance. And as for charisma, we leave that at 1. It simply isn't needed for the build and there are better choices. For intellect, you need to spend 4 points. This will allow you to hack any level terminal and provide you with a small experience boost. I should say, however, that in case you don't care about hacking terminals, then you're free to spend your points otherwise. It isn't required for the build to function to have this amount of intelligence. And for the base build, we leave agility at 1 as we don't really need the perks it provides. However, as you progress through the game, spending a few points on agility can be a wise choice, but I'll talk about that later. As for luck, we want it at 7 points. This will greatly increase the speed of how often you can crit, and it grants us some powerful perks. And with that said, let's take a look at the perks I suggest you spend your skill points on with this build. I should say that to unlock the full potential of this build, you will need to spend a total of 40 perk points. If you level higher than this, feel free to just add in whatever that suits your playstyle. And now let me start by showing you the ones I suggest you pick up. I've already spent the points in here, so you guys can see how many points I suggest spending on each perk as well. So the first ones we're going to pick up in strength is either the Iron Fist if you're playing as an unarmed character, or the Big Legs perk if you're playing with a melee weapon. This is what I do and this is why I've spent the full amount of points in this perk. Then secondly, we have Armorer, and I suggest you level that all the way as well. We have Blacksmith to be able to craft weapons. I suggest you level that as well. And then the rest of strength, you really just leave untouched. You can, if you want to, spend some points in rooted. However, I find that you usually move around quite a lot to dodge and evade as a melee character. So for me, it's not really worth it. But if you want to, you can spend some points in rooted. As for perception, you are going to spend some points in Locksmith. You need to spend 3 points. These 3 points will allow you to unlock any lock out there. And I don't suggest that you pick the last point here, because your bobby pins never break during lockpicking. Who cares? You have a ton of them anyway, so I suggest you only spend 3 points. And then, as you can see, it's grayed out right now. That's because it doesn't have the 5 points that you'll be getting from the bobbleheads and the special book. But when you get that, you will have unlocked Demolition Expert as well. And Demolition Expert is great as it allows you to craft explosives, it makes your explosives deal more damage, etc, etc. So I suggest you spend all the points in Demolition Expert as well. Then for Endurance, I suggest that you spend as many points as you can in Toughness so you get damage resistance. And I suggest you spend as many points as possible in LifeGiver. And LifeGiver, for instance, guys, is one of the reasons that I don't suggest spending too many points in endurance by itself when you can get access to LifeGiver by just spending 3 points. As I said before, endurance will only give you 5 points per point. LifeGiver for 1 point will give you 20 to maximum health, and it will do that for every level. So this grants you a ton of life to your character, and besides, the remaining perks in the endurance tree isn't that useful, to be honest. As for charisma, we're spending none, or you can spend some points on cap collector if you want to, but I don't suggest it. For intelligence, we spend some points on hacker, and you need to spend 3 points just as with lockpicking. This will allow you to hack any terminal here, and I don't suggest spending the last point. It's simply not worth it, in my opinion. Also, if you have extra points as you level throughout the game, when you've spent more than the 40 points that I recommend, you can level up Medic. Medic is kind of nice. You spend a lot of stim packs with this build, and this will make it more efficient. As for agility, we don't really spend any points, but if you take the build to really late game, you can spend some points on agility, unlock sneak, and become better at stealthing. Now lastly, for luck, we spend a total of 7 points, and we do that by picking up Mysterious Stranger. You spend all 3 points. The cool thing about having 3 points in Mysterious Stranger is that first of all, it appears quite oftenly, and also that there is a chance of your critical meter getting filled. And the cool thing about that is that we're also picking up Critical Banker. The Critical Banker allows you to save a critical hit to be used whenever you need it the most. This is really good against really tough targets where you would like to have 2 critical hits available, or just have 1 available and unlock it through Mysterious Stranger if you're lucky. You also need to spend points on Idiot Savant. Because of the low intelligence this character has, Idiot Savant actually provides a very nice experience boost, and I would suggest you pick this up early on in the game. Then finally, I also suggest you pick up better criticals, as this is a critical build, and together with the melee bobblehead, you will deal a ton of damage when you do crits. If you want, you can even spend a few more points in here so you can bank up more crits, but it's up to you. I feel like just 1 point is sufficient. And as for progression, which one should you choose first? It's really up to you and your gameplay style, but I would suggest that you start by picking up the lockpicking perk when you have gotten the bobblehead or the extra point through the special book, so you can already at the beginning unlock advanced locks. And the same goes for hackers, so make sure you level these up as fast as possible. Of course, there are level restrictions, but as soon as you reach those level restrictions, make sure to level them up so you don't run into situations where you can't unlock a terminal or a safe. And also, as I said, it's probably a good idea to unlock Idiot Savant as soon as possible so you can benefit from the extra experience that it grants early on in the game. And from here, it's pretty much just a balance between getting tankier and dealing more damage. If you want to become more tanky, I suggest by focusing on LifeGiver to begin with, and of course Toughness. And to get more damage, things such as Big Leagues is really nice to level up as soon as possible. Of course, the Demolitions Expert is really nice so you can start crafting those explosives. And whenever you feel comfortable about it, make sure to level up your blacksmithing and armor so you can craft yourself some great gear. And the last ones you should spend your points on is the better criticals, the Critical Banker, and the Mysterious Stranger, as these provide a lot of damage to the build, but they aren't really necessary in the beginning of the game. However, getting 1 point early on from Mysterious Stranger in the beginning of the game can be quite fun. And that's pretty much the base build, guys. If you level it higher than this, feel free to spend some points in agility to unlock better stealthing, or spend some points on Bloody Mess in the luck category, or even just some more points in endurance to become extra tanky. Keep in mind that there are several bobbleheads out there that will help you reach those goals. And also, guys, keep in mind that there are several ways of building a melee character. This is not the only one, so if you want to build it a bit differently, feel free to go that route. And also, I would recommend that if you go with this build, that you constantly try to keep your melee weapons upgraded. I found that by going to Diamond City fairly early on during my playthrough and talking to the vendors allowed me to constantly keep upgrading my weapons before I became adept of crafting and modding them myself. For early game, you should do fairly well with just a machete, but as you get further into the games, I would suggest you start looking for a Chinese Officer Sword or Grognok's Axe or even the Furious Power Fist, as these will carry you for a long time until you need to start crafting your own stuff or get a lucky drop. And also make sure to buy missiles, grenades and stim packs every time a vendor has them for sale. And of course make sure to use your demolitions expert perk to craft them yourself. And to fuel the cost of these items, make sure to sell all the gun and rifle ammunition that you don't need with this build anyway. Also with the strength you have, you can carry a lot of crap, so make sure to sell stuff. Anyway, best of luck in the Wasteland. Remember to subscribe for more Fallout content. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?